Welcome to our lesson video about dividing radicals. Our learning target to divide expressions with radicals. So, popular demand asked me for this video, so here we go. What if I had something like 2 radical 3 divided by 5 plus radical 7? Okay, so clearly I'm dividing. And I have a radical in the denominator, which is not good. Das is nicht so good. So I need to get rid of it, and we do that by a special fraction. And what goes in that special fraction, remember, is the conjugate of the denominator. Okay. So what I'm going to need to do, I'm going to need to multiply across the tops and across the bottoms. So let me multiply across the bottom first. And I'm going to do that by making myself a little grid. So let's see, it's going to be a 2 by 2 grid. Or else you can foil if you're one of those folks that likes to foil your own way. Okay, I'm going to have 5 radical 7 and then 5 negative radical 7. And then we're just going to fill in the grid by multiplying. 5 times 5 is 25. Here, there's a -1 there outside. So we're doing 5 times a -1 will be a -5, and then keep the radical 7. Here would be 5 positive 5 radical 7. And then here, I would have a -1 on the outside times, use our rule. When you have a radical times itself, so radical A times radical A, we talked about in class, that's just A. Radical 7 times itself, just going to be a 7. So in this bottom corner, really, I just have a -7. So add like things. So I have 2 terms with radical 7s, but when I add them, they actually cancel out because it was a 5 and a -5. And so I just want to add my 25 and my -7. And so that would give me, on the bottom, because that's what we're multiplying, 25, take away 7, and 18. Okay? Let me get this out of my way for my top. Now, when I multiply across the top, do I need a grid, a 2 by 2 grid? Since there's no plus or minus sign on that first fraction, I actually don't. I could simply just distribute. So let me do that. 2 radical 3 times a 5. The numbers outside multiply to a 10, so I have 10 radical 3. Okay, now 2 radical 3 times radical 7. Well, the 2 will stay outside, so I'm going to have minus a 2. But the things inside, the 7 and the 3, I can actually multiply those to get a 21. Now, here's the deal. Take a look at the 10, the 2, and the 18. And what can you tell me about those numbers? Hopefully you're telling me they're all divisible by a 2. So divide out the 2, and here's what it should reduce to. Okay, remember there's understood to be a 1 there, but I really don't have to write it. Okay, because 2 divided by 2 is a 1. Okay, so this would be my final for division. Alright, let's look at another one. One more. Radical 2 minus 3 and 1 plus 2 radical, I don't know, 11. That just changes it up a little bit. Okay, so radical at the bottom, that's a problem. So my special fraction is going to be made up of the conjugate. So make it a plus 3. So for the denominator, that's what we're going to multiply next. I'm going to do a 2 by 2 grid. Okay. Radical 2, -3, radical 2, positive 3. And then we're going to use our rule to fill in the box. Radical 2 times itself would just be a 2. Here, 3 stays outside, 2 stays in. -3 stays outside, 2 stays in. And then just multiply -3 times 3, be a -9. Now, these guys combine, but they cancel when you combine them. So when I add 2 and -9, I actually get -7. So that's what's at the bottom. Now, do I need a 2 by 2 grid to now multiply the tops? Actually, I do, because they both have a plus sign. So that means I have 2 terms times 2 terms. So here's going to be another grid. Oh, maybe I should make my grid a little bit bigger than that. Leave myself enough room. That would be helpful. That looks a little better. So the first fraction, 1, and then 2 radical 11, and then radical 2, and a 3. So when I fill this in, what are we going to get? We're going to get 1 radical 2. 1 times 3 is 3. Here, a 2 will stay outside, but then 11 times 2 would multiply to 22. And then outside numbers would give me a 6. 2 times 3 is a 6, radical 11. Now you should think about a factor tree for 22, but it ends up being 2 and 11, which is no pairs. So none of my radicals are the same, so I just rewrite all the stuff inside the box. Order really doesn't matter. Whoa. Help if I would actually write a radical house. Oh, fiddlesticks. But 1 radical 2 plus 2 radical 22 plus 6 radical 11 plus a 3. That big hot mess is your numerator. Okay? And that would be our final answer for division. Our radical is out of the bottom, which is what needs to happen. Alright, so I will see you next time. Have fun and keep learning, guys, and I'll see you later.